Doing fine, Rex. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's really good to have you on the show. We've talked several times and brought new data every single time you come on, but what is this that we're looking at right now?
This is stellarium. This is September 23rd. Sorry about saying there. September 23rd, 2017. It's basically a glimpse into the future here. Uh, we had this on the show before. I wanted to go over it and show, kind of correlate some data with some points and touch up on some things that people asked about last time I was on there. Last time I was on the Leak project. Uh, so this
Absolutely.
is the alignment in the sky of 923 in 2017 that it talks of in Revelation. It's in the Bible. So I wanted to bring up the lines here, the actual constellation lines that show how Jupiter is in between her legs and actually goes between her legs for the exact day of human gestation period on 923. It's the same amount of days. It's what that means when they say she's ready to burst. And we were only missing one point of data from the last conversation. It was the dragon. We found the 9 stars on her head that are usually there, and the 3 that make this the alignment, which are the planets. So there's the 12 stars and a crown on her head. There's the sun at her shoulder that clothed her that day as the sunrise from Israel, and Jupiter crossed between her legs. We see the moon at her feet as well. And from this view, instead of the constellation art, because constellation art was done a few times by a few people, and there's a few famous renditions, you actually go by the stars and not, you know, the the artist's interpretation of it.
Okay.
So you can see that between the stars, that's what it meant. The birthing pains, that's the Virgin, Virgo. She was pregnant, and Jupiter was crossing between her legs. We couldn't see the dragon from there, so it had me just looking deeper, that we had all this data points, every single one. I mean, to the point that even when you go further into it, you can see Mercury go in retrograde around Saturn, to it typically shows you that in the next paragraph of the verse. And I mean, data points that are really specific, and everyone's there except for this dragon. So what I did was I went to another program. It's Google Sky, Google Earth. It's free. Anybody can download it. And I went and just tried to look at that part of the sky. I went and first pulled up the star charts, the historical star charts here. Same ones we were just looking at, but you see that right here, in the same place that we just seen Jupiter go through, up the leg, and the dress comes over. Right about there at this symbol, there, right there. If we turn on the infrared spectrum and turn down this chart a little bit, we can see that there's blacked out information. So it makes you wonder what it is. So you zoom in there and you see that that's blacked out. What you do is you can zoom out to tell how much of this information they actually did this and how common it was. You can see that this was the 1982 IRAS scan. It was the Infrared Astronomical Survey. It was done in 1982. It actually scanned 99.9% of our sky around the Earth in the near infrared spectrum. And you can see where this block repeats itself is the same place in the sky. They just do that for your reference, basically, so the map never ends and it's easier to pick up where you left off. So you can see that they only did this in one place. So you can go there and notice that that's 1982. And if you look really closely right here, you can see that there's actually energy emitting off this in a rainbow directly from this object. This object sits directly in the middle of this. It is the cause of that energy, I would say. It's emanating from it like it's a star or something.
Looks like
But
half of an evil clown face behind
yeah,
it.
it's really strange. But what we know is, since we know that this is the IRAS satellite from 1982, we can go to NASA, go right to their site, and just use their satellite. So what we do is we aim the satellite there at the imagery, anyways, and we hit go, and we go to it. And look, they didn't edit there, but we can see that there's a line here where the image was clearly edited at one point, possibly, maybe, or I'm not sure, but there's a
It's got
crisp
the same
line.
smiley face.
Yeah, and
And
we
the
can
same
see
eyes.
this Cheshire cat-looking thing right here. And if we go back, we just pull it up, we see right here, and then we just compare it, and we realize that that's the same. Not only that, because it's the same right ascension and declination, so that, I
That's the
mean,
cosmic Pac-Man. I've been talking about this thing for months.
Cosmic Pac-Man, that's really we've actually seen that in even like ancient imagery, which is what I find crazy. Like that it's almost like the Death Star coming, like this invisible Death Star coming and fueling up by the sun or something. It's crazy. That's what it looks like in a lot of the imagery. You can actually see there's like 20 or 20 so hours of this black orb that's way bigger than Earth. I'll say a few times bigger than Earth, sitting near the sun, and this is probably close to the size of Jupiter, and it sits there for 20 hours, and it's pulling a vortex off of the sun for a good 20 hours. Looks like it's fueling up, and then that string like snaps like an elastic, and this perfect sphere shoots out and goes away just out of nowhere. But it looks like this thing was like literally fueling up by our sun. It was really insane and intense to watch. It's
There's a
funny
lot
you
of
talk.
images that show these strange, enormous anomalies around the sun that seem to be literally tapping into it. I've seen similar pictures, yes.
Yeah. So to get not to get too far off subject or off what I told you guys before for coordinates. So we know that this is a 1982 image. Then it's -6, -8, around there, but below the ecliptic. So that holds with our theory. So, and it's in the same spot that we were looking. We were looking at the feet of Virgo. So this isn't coincidence that this thing's blacked out and we can't see the dragon. But somebody if you're more computer savvy, you realize that you can have access to the information that made this layer. So you can just go to where that information originally came from and see the info. And right there it is. You can actually go in and see this from other layers, and you can't see that in anything but the infrared spectrum. So, I mean, that tells you something right there. You
Where
can't see.
where would this thing be now?
So that's the good question. You go and look at where we were talking. These are from old Google images. So you just go to what we have knowledge of. So these images were taken in 2007 if we're looking at this filter right here and not this filter. This filter is 1982. This filter is now. Okay, so we go over and we just search out Orion like I just did. And this just helps me touch base with where I am in the universe. But a lot of if you watch like Steve Olson or any of those guys, they all talk about Orion right now. They're chemtrailing over Orion and this and that. There's just a lot of interest in Orion's belt. And I don't know why I can't find it right this second. Sometimes these filters stick when you bring them in.
Well, Murphy is an optimist, if you've ever heard of Murphy's Law, so.
Yeah. But what I did was I remembered that there was only one place that this stuff was blacked out before, and it was near this Orion constellation. So trying to just pull that up here without losing my place here. We should be right on it. Yep, that's it. Okay, so if we go right here, which brings me up to another subject, which I thought was maybe I'm losing my mind on, but I was listening to some old music from early '90s, 2000s and stuff. The old Rage Against the Machine.
Oh,
And I
yeah, Rage
swear,
Against the Machine. Absolutely.
yeah, I swear that they were talking about this stuff. Like it just seemed like they were
Well, they
talking
talked a
about
lot about government suppression.
yeah, and they're talking about the Mayans and the gods and the sun, people of the sun. It's coming back around again. And Bulls on Parade, Year of the Boomerang. It's all on the same album, and it's talking about this thing going through the feet of Taurus, basically.
Yeah, that's an
But
interesting connection there, Jason. I'll have to look into that more.
yeah, it's really weird because when you think about it, like I said, it even connects to the minds, and they say it straight up in their words. I mean, their words are straightforward when they talk about the people of the sun. So if you think about it, and I was telling you earlier that this all correlates with a 1997 prediction of where this object, Planet X, would be, and where that we could look in the sky to see it at these dates. Um, you can view all this information online for yourself. Just the site was called Zeta Talk, but it actually gave coordinates, these actual coordinates showing us where it was, where it would be, and where it would be in the future. The interesting thing you were saying about these Soho images you had, if there were anything from recent images, there was actually good belief
Very
that
recent.
we could believe that if there's an object that went right to left behind the sun, and that we believe that should have been this object because of where it is in the sky. If it was between the 1st of June and the 5th of June, around that time, we think that is when it was passing behind the sun from our perspective, kind of. It would correlate with the SOHO imagery. You know what I mean? That it would make sense that if we would catch something going around the back of the sun. But what I was getting at here was I went to that other blacked out spot that I brought up last time, and this is -6 for the declination, and the right ascension's just about 6. So it's 6 basically. You look a little bit below Orion and to the left, and you see the only real blacked out information in Google Sky. So what I actually did was I said, okay, maybe if I just go one more program, maybe I can find this again. You know, maybe I can get lucky and see if I can find this like I did the other way. So what I did was I looked, and I went into the actual Google Earth program where you can download. And there's Orion. I can go to it real quick. There's that the infrared spectrum again. Don't want that. But we can see that right here, it'll break through that layer in a second. Actually, I can turn it down. There it is. But if you look at it in this version, you can see it says prove, and this says this is prove that this image is available but hidden. And I thought that was weird. But not only that, if you look at it, there's another pin here somewhere, and I don't know why it's not popping up, but there's a filter here that has a pin. And this is 2007 imagery, as it shows you right here. So if this thing was coming around the sun between 1981 and now, in 2007, when this image was taken, it would follow the same path below the ecliptic, except only rising possibly a degree or two, because it's very elongated and it's below the ecliptic. That's the only way we're not seeing it. It's behind the sun, and it's below the ecliptic. That's why Australia and Antarctica have a good view at it. Okay, so this actually is a dead straight line, right with the other blocked out piece of information from 1982. So between 1982 and 2007, you can draw a line, connect the dots. If you look back even further into the information, I can pull up some images actually. And these are the original documentations of these. These are the original orbital charts from the professionals, okay? This one right here is showing you Zacharias Sitchin's, okay? He told us all those years ago that the ancients would tell us that it would come out of Sagittarius, go through Scorpio, and into Libra and into Virgo at our view, depending on our viewpoint, where the Earth was on this circle, okay? At different times of year. So when it comes around the sun, it will be in Virgo for a moment, you know what I mean? And again, and go back, basically, it's just all in perception of where in the circle you are. So for it to be in Virgo, it would had to have been close in the 80s, just like they expected, because of the alignment and everything. That's why they did adjustments and pulled them down further instead of to the right, like Sitchin was just basically, he wasn't an astronomer. He was using Kepler's law, but he wasn't honing it. That's why he kind of started opposite. And then a lot of people actually reversed the model, like Gil Brizard, things like that. If there's a binary, it would only make sense that it would go in a counter rotation against what the planets do now, and that would also make up for, you know, Neptune and Uranus, like the tilt of the Earth, everything. It would explain how Pluto got sat and taken out there and stretched out. It would explain Ceres and the asteroid belt. It would explain our moon. It would explain why there's more craters on the back of the moon. It would explain, you know, the atmosphere of Mars being missing. It explains a lot of the mysteries in the universe, just this one planet. And these physicists, they all knew where they were looking for. They made it public information. They told us that 3 out of the 4 Voyager crafts, that's why we got the charts here, this shows you that they sent 3 out of the 4 of these crafts out there in this direction looking for it so they can triangulate it and find it. So the other chart is actually Dr. Robert Harrington's prediction from NASA with this blue dot here, showing you where. That's the chief astronomer at the Naval Observatory, mind you. He was murdered a year later after releasing this information and shooting a video with Zacharias Sitchin, going together, correlating their info and kind of showing them, you know, their natural curiosities, like how they sparked and connected. And the histories, facts, and this big long epic of just tales and of the gods. There's always been 12 gods, and there was always 12 celestial things, and it was always 12. It was always 12. It was always 12. They kept repeating this, repeating this, repeating this, because they were talking about planets. They were talking about the things that influenced nature the most in their existence, their reality. So it was the moon, the sun, and the rest of the planets, and the 12th planet, the biggest one, like the most influential, but the one that doesn't come around as most. In a lot of cultures, even they even believe that Zeus was this was his planet. You could call it that, like when you interpret it, because you can go through the Roman, the Greek, a lot of old religions, and you can see what their planetary symbol is. That's actually where the planets arrive from today, like Mercury. The names actually came from the Roman pantheon of gods, which came from the Greek, which came from the original Sumerian gods and stuff like that. It's just all the same story, different retold to different people that migrated to different locations. It was always the 12, and you couldn't break that. So they were missing one. They were realizing the connection. And when you look back at the stories about like Zeus and Gaia having battles and things like that, these ancient tales, it seems like there were more truth to them than not. Like if you're going to go through the trouble inventing in a language, wouldn't you think that you're not going to make up a story for the first thing you say? Wouldn't you think you would have some truth? Wouldn't you want to kind of tell your tale? But another thing we wanted to touch on, I contact you about, was the back of this Swiss bill. So we looked up there and we could see that this is the same orbit that I kind of predicted to you, except a little bit smaller of what I've been showing you basically the whole time. So all this data is correlating, and it's just starting to make sense. It's starting to become more fact than fiction when they're murdering, the chief astronomers for the naval observatories, because when they went to New Zealand, they weren't getting the third point of data to calculate the speed. They were just kind of refining the income. He wanted to know when it was going to be here. That's all he was doing. He was getting a refined estimate of when it would arrive. And he said it would come within zero point 0.3 astronomical units of the Earth. So basically that's breaching our magnetosphere. We're going to share a magnetosphere with this thing, and that's going to stop our rotation for a day. So the tidal waves aren't going to happen like people think we are, because it's going to be a gradual stop. But the earthquakes, the volcanoes, a lot of that stuff is going to happen. Like that, if this thing is as real as they say it is, I mean, it's real. It's real. Like you can't edit out these photos. Now, how devastating it is, what CERN's doing to counteract it, what they're doing to counteract it's a different thing. What actually happens is one thing, but the existence of it is real. It's provable with science. You can't fake Kepler's law, you know what I mean, in a Bible before you have astronomies and sciences about the stars. You didn't have a word for the word planet. You didn't know what a planet was, so you called them wandering stars. You didn't have vocabulary word for planet. So how are you going to know about Kepler's law and Bode's law, all these astrophysical terms that hold true, and how we find it? It's basically what I'm talking about is the Fibonacci spiral. You can find out just about how far away from something is by, just by following a line and giving an educated guess. So what we were looking at here with this bill was what appears to me is this is usually represents the December equinox when Earth is up here at the top. And this shows you the planet alignments of, Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, Venus, and this thing's coming in between our orbit and the orbit of Mars. It looks like this a lot of people speculate that this is the comet Elenin, which came by a couple years ago. I don't know if you guys remember that, but it was based on a diagram drawn by this guy, this diagram. His name was Leonard Euler. And he predicted the existence of this, a couple hundred years ago. Predicted the existence of this comet, when it would come, its path, and this is way before, like, it's almost unprecedented how far ahead he was when it came to guessing this. So when you look into that, you could pull this up and try to do an exact match of it. And it was really, really hard to replicate, but I got it to come really close, actually, once or It was actually just one time. But the planets on the outside were flip-flopped. And if you go through a bill, this piece right here, this little circle, you can actually shove a pencil through that. And on both sides, there's that symbol. But on the other side, the front of the bill, it shows you all these orbits for binary and trinary star systems. It gives you A, B, C, A, B, A, C orbits of all of these different places and where they are in relation. And it's almost like this thing's a portal, literally like a portal on the other side, and like to show you in reference to where this is, almost like a crop circle. Like you could decipher this piece of information, giving you a timeline. And if you look into it, it shows you, where two things are and how they're crossing, and then blam, how they're, this kind of shows the continuation through time as this rotation here. This is showing you, it's really creepy, really freaky. And if you look at the front, it actually had the guy's face on it. But this isn't, like I said, this is the Swiss bank. And we know that the Swiss have whatever laws there that make us able to bring money to them and just drop off boatloads of money there, and just, all of us do our banking there if you're doing really big banking. And, when you're a kid, you'd even joke like, oh, Swiss bank accounts, da 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 da. And we know that there's something creepy going on with their money system over there. You can actually look into this further, and there's like really deep cryptic messages in all of their stuff. But as I said, I went through and different filters, different programs. It's all there, and it's in a straight line. It's staying at the -6 at the ecliptic. And oddly enough, it's staying where they predicted it would be in 1997, when we were told that we could look out for this thing, when we should be looking out. And that just right there is holding true. That's pretty amazing to me. I'd like to show you one more thing that I had on my mind for the moment, and I'm sure I'm forgetting something here, but I just want to get in my history. I seen something today that reminded me of what you were talking about with the Soho.
There's some strange stuff going on there, man. I mean, some of the anomalies I've seen are a lot larger than our own planet. At least they appear that way. And yeah, that one you just showed is pretty cool. Now, let me pull up these images then that I got from the AZ Voice. That's the only name that I have from these emails that I'm getting here at guestbookings@leakproject.com, and we've been getting a whole bunch of them. Let me pull these up, because that way you guys can see exactly where it's located. And I've got several of these. So let me pull this up right now, and we'll change the screens here. I'm going to share my screen. There we go. All right, so take a look at this. And as you guys can see, this is recent. This is 5/28. So thank you, AZ Voice, for sending us these. And look at this strange Photoshop box where you can tell that they blocked something out. They didn't even do a very good job of it, And then this kind of looks like that strange anomaly that you were showing that was above the screen earlier. Maybe it was below, but it was just kind of going across there, all the way across. But what I'm very fascinated with is this giant block here. And we'll go to the next one here.
Yeah, I believe that would be what would be close. See, that would be, I'm thinking that's that binary, the star right there at the top, getting ready to go around, because see how it's just below the ecliptic?
This
it's
one?
about, yeah, see how it's just below the ecliptic, and as it would get close to the circle, it might go towards this, but it would come back down,
So you think this could be a second sun or Planet X maybe then?
A binary star, and this would be this anomaly down here would probably be a planet that's surrounding it, going around it.
Okay, so they left this one up, but they took this one out. That's interesting.
You couldn't really block the gamma like that. You couldn't do it. They might as well pull the image at that point. You know what I mean?
Okay.
If they're because it's so bright, they'd have to just pull the image of that looks completely photoshopped. Yeah.
And then
like
you can see this. So look at this. Now the block's gone, but you still got that bad boy right there. So whatever that is.
The winged disc.
Yeah, the wing destroyer, or maybe it's just some really cool Chinese lanterns that decided to expand once they hit outer space. And
yeah, that's the size of the sun, roughly, though. A little bit smaller, say about a third of the size of the sun.
Huh. Yeah, they get a lot bigger in space. I mean, it's amazing what those Chinese lanterns can do. I've never seen anything like it. Now let's pull back to your screen if we could, because you had some more stuff to show us. I just wanted to share these with you real quick.
Yeah, I believe that was it. I believe that was the same. That's the object. See, the date even correlates there. You can't pull that up. You can't go there and pull that image up anymore.
This is 531.
Yeah, but if you go to Alaska, when I was pulling up the Alaska today, it wasn't, and the Soho, it wasn't showing me those. It wasn't letting me pull up last week, or like I tried to pull up 2 weeks and it was it. That was it. It wouldn't let me pull up past 2 weeks at all. It was very odd.
Yeah, they
I mean, I
scrubbed
just tried
something
like
then,
two
didn't
hours
they?
ago. Yeah, I couldn't get the images to show me because I showed you that video. Uh, and that, I mean, that's the same thing you were just showing me. Is that video? It was just a screenshot of it though. I can't get those images to pull. I was actually looking at them. So between those,
I'm going to pull up another one, too. Take a look at this bad boy. They blocked out an entire... I mean, geez, this is very interesting. Take a look at this one. This is another one that AZ Voice sent us. And what do you make of that?
there it is. Whoa.
Look at that. Now, you've got some really... I mean, that's a lot to block out there. So something, I wonder if it had some type of path or left a trail behind it, and they just decided to wipe the whole thing out.
Yeah, that could have been it. Like, either that thing's like, I don't even know how to say that. I don't know how. That's like phenomenal. It's like a rod, one of those rod things that they talk about.
Yeah, but I doubt it was that big. I mean, this is most likely...
Perception trick. Like
I'm not even
closer
saying
to.
a perception trick. I just wonder if maybe when they
Oh,
took
a
this...
scrub. Yeah, look, that is a perfect mouse scrub. I see what you're saying. Look, see, they took a tool and just wiped it white,
Yeah.
and that's why it's in a perfect circle. I see what you're saying.
Mhm.
They took a blur tool. That's
So
crazy.
let's just do this real quick, guys. This will take us 5 seconds, bang, and we're done. And then people
Yeah.
can say, oh, I don't know what that is. But that's very
They're
interesting.
running out of time or something.
And
Too
look at
much
the date.
info.
This is actually 2 days ago. This is 6/5 at 8:42 p.m. Once again, I'd like to say thank you to AZ Voice. I appreciate you sending this out to us here at guestbookings@leakproject.com. And if there's anybody else that has some really cool photos like this that you took from Soho or another satellite or webcam or something, get it out to us. We'll take a look at it. If you have any information to throw with it, that would make it a lot easier for us. If you can give us coordinates, if you're using a specific camera, taking the picture yourself, let us know what time. If you can get video footage, fantastic. Let's do our best to make this as legit as possible.
Yeah. This, from what I can tell, is a lot of people believe that that crossing that we just seen was actually the system, the binary crossing around the back. We're having a year of alignments this year that things kind of are showing themselves in the right way because we align correctly, that things reveal themselves, basically. Like if you're in a straight shot with something, you can see it easier because the sun's illuminating it. Kind of peeks out from behind the sun. And that's what they were getting at with the slew when they were talking about the Mercury transit. That's what that guy was getting at. I mean, I've seen actually report back emails where he's going around emailing people, personally emailing them his thoughts and how he really feels on it. And he's not saying that he's apologizing or that it was a fake at all. He's actually taking the time to email people that, are worried about what he said. But yeah, that everything correlates. Like I said, that those Soho images, it looked like we got to see the glimpse of it coming around the back of the sun because as Earth travels one way, it's traveling the other. So that makes the speed of which we kind of spin around each other pretty, it goes up exponentially because we're going opposite directions. So that's why, when you seen it go around there, that it appeared that it was moving so fast. But that was a time lapse of about 6 or 7 days.
Now, did you have some other data that you wanted to share with us as well?
Yeah, I think I had some more stuff here. So I'm sorry about that.
No problem. Let's swap the screens out and you can share that with us. That'd be great. While you're doing this, I'd also like to recommend you guys check out this new film that's going to be coming out here soon. It's already available for pre-sale. It's called Watchers 10 DNA, and this is by L.A. Marzulli. Also, I'd like to recommend that if you do enjoy some of these films on the Nephilim, and if you want to see video footage of these enormous bones, skeletons that have been pulled out from the depths of the earth, and also these elongated skulls, LA breaks this stuff down better than just about anybody out there, better than anybody that I've ever talked to for sure. Now, also, when you take a look at some of his older films, you're going to see this different, when you look at some of these reference points to the possibilities of were the Nephilim giants, were they much larger than people today, even that are at the top levels of basketball? Yeah, absolutely. So go to lamarzulli.wordpress.com. You can also do the pre-order for Watchers 10. You can watch the trailer on his website. You can also watch the trailer on our website, leakproject.com. But this is available now, pre-orders, Watchers 10. And you also get a 1-year subscription of the PP&SE magazine. That stands for Politics, Prophecy, and the Supernatural. So make sure to pick up your copy today. Now, what are we looking at right now, Jason?
Well, I was trying to I have some notes here from this is from something else I was working on for you actually. It was kind of the breakdown. People were getting confused on timelines and factual dates and this and that, and that's why I kind of went down and broke through a timeline of explaining where this object appeared throughout history and how many times it's been apparent. And it's actually, to me, it looks like one of the most talked about things in the Bible and like the most unknown actually. And not only that, in pretty much every other text, it's kind of one of the key things there, the key mysteries to solving these things. And I think it's kind of been hid with layers. Like the original stories, as we found them out, were kind of diluted and through time, because the scholars, you have to kind of read their books. These guys are the ones doing the work and stuff. And then if you don't go and read their books and their take on it, then you don't get to hear the real information because it's so suppressed, basically. But what I was getting at was the idea that it was coming. We knew that they said it would be coming from Sagittarius, and we caught it coming through Virgo. The Bible told us, there'd be a sign in Virgo. We see this blacked out spot over here as it goes towards Orion, and as like I said, the bulls on parade and the year of the boomerang, all that stuff. Like I said, it would be coming up through here and coming back around, like this, basically. That's how the orbit would go. It's just how it would have to stay true if it was actually holding the orbit that we show in all the diagrams. So what I wanted to do was I had that one question. I wanted to see if anybody could basically find that date, just the date of this alignment for us, basically. That's all. Because you can go into a lot of programs and find that. But how you could really key it down is that this is a 33% illuminated moon. So you could say a dying moon or whatever. And this is probably most likely the December equinox because of the placement and how it's kind of coordinated with north up here. Saying that that's Earth at December 21st with a 33% full moon, and the other alignments are, shows you where, Neptune and Saturn and the Mars, and Venus and Mercury and all that are.
Okay.
It was just kind of like some homework. I just wanted to see if anybody could kind of find that date for us and help us out a little bit, But I think it went with this picture right here. Like I said, I think it was from Leonard Euler's book that he wrote a long time ago, which I can't read Dutch or German, so it doesn't really help me any. But I believe that is what they were copying there. Let's see if I can get them both to share the screen there. Yeah, I mean, to me that's what it looks like, but the Earth in correspondence is off a little bit. But that could have been back when we had a 360-day year, back before the calendars changed over. Because we used to have a perfect 360-day year, 12 months, 30 days every time. That was perfect, and that even corresponds, biblically with the timeline and the time shift when we got hit with an object, supposedly. So it kind of shows you that every calendar after that point was changed. So yeah, I had a little homework puzzle, see if anybody could figure out this date, because it'd be pretty neat if you could. We could kind of decipher a little bit more of the clue there. They actually pulled that bill from circulation a couple years after they had it out, and a lot of people collected it and had a big, dispute about it. But every time I would watch information on it, like I said, I could never find a real decipherment of it, because there was always something that they were missing. You know what I mean? Something wasn't adding up, or they were overlooking something. But yeah, like I said, I just wanted to show you that all this information basically correlates. None of it's wrong. The only thing that's wrong is anybody that tells you that that image where you see the winged disc and it's up at like 22 positive, but you see this winged disc and it's a big orange orb on here. I can't remember, but I know you guys have seen the images. That's the only really false image on Google Sky you'll see that claims that it's Nibiru or anything like it, because there's no way that something would jump like 30 degrees above the ecliptic. Like, just, you couldn't do it. It's impossible. It wouldn't happen like that. Yeah, I just wanted to show you that how it all correlated there.
Well, I think that's really good information, and just keep us posted because every time you come on the show, people really enjoy the work that you do. I certainly enjoy it. So thanks for everything, Jason. Folks, also check out our website, leakproject.com. Over 200 full feature podcasts. They're free. And if you want to get access to the latest shows first, make sure to check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/clandestine time lord. If you become a subscriber/member, it's totally free, and you'll get access to all the latest podcasts first. So thanks for everything, you guys. Appreciate everybody that sent images to us and information. Thank you so much, Jason. It's always great talking with you. Be the change you want to see, folks. This is Rex Bear. Good night.
I'm doing fine, Rex. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's really good to have you on the show. We've talked several times and brought new data every single time you come on, but what is this that we're looking at right now?
This is stellarium. This is September 23rd. Sorry about saying there. September 23rd, 2017. It's basically a glimpse into the future here. We had this on the show before. I wanted to go over it and kind of correlate some data with some points and touch up on some things that people asked about last time I was on there. Last time I was on Leak Project. So this is the alignment in the sky of 923 in 2017 that it talks of in Revelation. It's in the Bible. So I wanted to bring up the lines here, the actual constellation lines that show how Jupiter is in between her legs and actually goes between her legs for the exact day of human gestation period on 923. It's the same amount of days. It's what it means when they say she's ready to burst. And we were only missing one point of data from the last conversation. It was the dragon. We found the 9 stars on her head that are usually there, and the 3 that make this the alignment, which are the planets. So there's the 12 stars and a crown on her head. There's the sun at her shoulder that clothed her that day as the sunrise from Israel, and Jupiter crossed between her legs. We see the moon at her feet as well. And from this view, instead of the constellation art, because constellation art was done a few times by a few people, and there's a few famous renditions, you actually go by the stars and not, the artist's interpretation of it.
Okay.
So you can see that between the stars, that's what it meant. The birthing pains, that's the Virgin, Virgo. She was pregnant, and Jupiter was crossing between her legs. We couldn't see the dragon from there, so it had me just looking deeper that we had all this data points, every single one. I mean, to the point that even when you go further into it, you can see Mercury go in retrograde around Saturn to it typically shows you that in the next paragraph of the verse. And I mean, data points that are really specific, and everyone's there except for this dragon. So what I did was I went to another program. It's Google Sky, Google Earth. It's free. Anybody can download it. And I went and just tried to look at that part of the sky. I went and first pulled up the star charts, the historical star charts here. Same ones we were just looking at, but you see that right here, in the same place that we just seen Jupiter go through, up the leg, and the dress comes over. Right about there at this symbol, there, right there. If we turn on the infrared spectrum and turn down this chart a little bit, we can see that there's blacked out information. So it makes you wonder what it is. So you zoom in there and you see that that's blacked out. What you do is you can zoom out to tell how much of this information they actually did this and how common it was. You can see that this was the 1982 IRAS scan. It was the Infrared Astronomical Survey. It was done in 1982. It actually scanned 99.9% of our sky around the Earth in the near infrared spectrum. And you can see where this block repeats itself. It is the same place in the sky. They just do that for your reference, basically, so the map never ends and it's easier to pick up where you left off. So you can see that they only did this in one place. So you can go there and notice that that's 1982. And if you look really closely right here, you can see that there's actually energy emitting off this in a rainbow directly from this object. This object sits directly in the middle of this. It is the cause of that energy, I would say. It's emanating from it, like it's a star or something.
Looks like
But
half of an evil clown face behind
yeah,
it.
it's well, yeah, that's it's really strange. But what we know is, since we know that this is the IRAS satellite from 1982, we can go to NASA, go right to their site, and just use their satellite. So what we do is we aim the satellite there at the imagery, anyways, and we hit go, and we go to it, and look, they didn't edit there, but we can see that there's a line here where the image was clearly edited at one point, possibly, maybe, or I'm not sure, but there's a
It's got
crisp
the same
line.
smiley face
Yeah, and
and the
we can
same
see
eyes.
this Cheshire cat looking thing right here. And if we go back, we just pull it up. We see right here, and then we just compare it, and we realize that that's the same. Not only that, because it's the same right ascension and declination. So that, I
That's the
mean,
cosmic Pac-Man. I've been talking about this thing for months.
cosmic Pac-Man. That's really we've actually seen that in even like ancient imagery, which is what I find crazy. Like that it's almost like the Death Star coming, like this invisible Death Star coming